The rise of AI is making us all excited about what the future of business and general productivity will look like. But it's also revealing to us that some of the skills we have today may not be needed tomorrow. And that can be scary. Let's talk about it. Welcome to this week's episode of What's Jonathan Thinking? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of What's Jonathan Thinking? As this is now the second episode in a row on the topic of AI, you can probably tell that this general topic has a lot of my attention these days. Whether I am talking to clients in the energy and utilities industry or team members at my firm, I think we'd all be hard pressed to find a week in the past 6 months or so when this topic did not come up. This week, I want to talk about what AI is going to mean from a learning perspective. As leaders, some of us might find ourselves in a position of not knowing a ton about AI. We may have layered our career knowledge with the information that was most relevant for our current roles in our organizations. Maybe you're a delivery manager like me, or maybe you're a member of a delivery team. Maybe your focus in life has been application development on platforms like Java or .NET or Salesforce. And though AI has had some applications in the form of chatbots or other more simple constructs, I think I speak for a large segment of the workforce by saying that our roles have not required even a basic understanding of how AI applications are built, deployed, supported, and maintained. That is all to say that some of us find ourselves in a situation of having to upskill, add on to a skill base we already have, or in some instances, fully reskill to ensure we are properly positioned to ride the AI wave into the next season of our careers. As leaders, we tacitly know that we must continuously expand our skills to stay relevant and effective in our roles and be able to lead our organizations into their future. Typically, though, we are only faced with needing to refresh and stay current with new upgrades, new capabilities for the key systems or business areas that we support today. Our continuous learning needs have only required reading release notes or max a few days in a focused seminar to refresh our skills on a particular platform. AI is a different story. It's not an evolution of technology, it's a revolution of technology. So, as leaders, we are going to need to adopt a different viewpoint. I recently read an article in the Harvard Business Review called Reskilling in the Age of AI. In it, the authors, Jorge Tamayo, Leila Dumi, Sagar Goel, Orsalia Kovacs Andrejkovic, and Rafaela Sadun, offer these 5 key areas that leaders should review, consider, and adopt into their organizations and leadership acumen. Number 1, view reskilling as a strategic imperative. AI is not the same as deciding if you want to purchase an Android phone or an iPhone. It's akin to determining if you want to part with your flip phone to purchase a smartphone. Do you move with the current or get left behind? The authors offer effective reskilling initiatives are critical because they allow companies to build competitive advantage quickly by developing talent that is not readily available in the market and filling skills gaps that are instrumental to achieving their strategic objectives before and better than their competitors do. As I said in my last episode, AI is not a fad. It's a movement. It's increasingly presenting viable solutions that businesses can and will not be able to live without. It's building efficiencies and processes that previously only scaled with more humans. But because of the rate of change, it is changing the shelf life of skills. The article offers that the average half-life of skills is now less than 5 years, and in some tech fields, it's as low as 2.5. For millions of workers, upskilling alone won't be enough. Reskilling will become the imperative. Number 2, reskilling is the responsibility of every leader and every manager. The next key consideration is to shift the responsibility for learning and development to everyone in the organization. Reskilling should be the responsibility of every leader and manager on your teams. Traditionally, reskilling is considered part of the overall corporate learning function. This has placed the burden of training and development on HR functions, typically. This is all well and good, and for sure, HR should be involved and operate as a partner in ensuring your teams represent the next generation of knowledge and capabilities. However, reskilling investments need a profound commitment from the rest of the organization. Many companies are setting the tone of leadership in this area. CVS, for example, has made training and reskilling an integral part of the company's business strategies. Each individual business leader is now responsible for designing and delivering workforce reskilling plans to help the company reach its goals, and the ability to do so is factored into performance assessments. Amazon, too, has famously committed to reskilling as a core strategic objective and now mentions it prominently in its leadership manifesto for managers. The visibility of this commitment contributes to Amazon's ability to achieve scale in reskilling programs. Now, I get it. CVS and Amazon are billion-dollar companies where a few hundred million spent on training and development could be viewed as an overall rounding error in their expense ratios. And that money is much more accessible to them than it is for small businesses. But the challenge remains the same. Luckily, there are many options for training on the topic of AI. Some are certifications, and others are full on degree programs. There are choices that fit most companies' employee development budgets. The imperative is to find a way to not back down because of the forecasted cost of doing so.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Never give up.
Number 3, reskilling or view reskilling as a change management initiative. To design and implement ambitious reskilling programs, companies must create an organizational context conducive to success. What the authors are saying here is that retooling your human capital is a multifaceted endeavor. And just like we must ensure that we have the proper ingredients to manage implementations of new CRM or ERP systems, AI will require much the same skill set and devotion to ensuring that the reskilling of people is successful. The article encourages organizations to engage in activities like establishing an inventory of the existing skills and capabilities in the organization, juxtaposed against the expected demand of those skills and abilities. A very small example is something that you've probably noticed on your web conference calls. It used to be that in Teams and WebEx, you might need somebody in the room to record notes, or you could flip that record button and keep a recording of the session. Now, both platforms automate note taking by real time language processing engines that captures the transcript of the meeting. This technology is imperfect, but we can rest assured that having good note takers in the room is soon to become a skill level of the past that has been fully replaced by more technologically advanced AI offerings. This will lead into a reevaluation of recruitment models, too. I mentioned earlier that the importance of viewing HR as an equal partner in reskilling, and this was chiefly why. Your leaders and managers likely will have a sense of the skills and capabilities they will need to remain current and successful. They may not entirely know where to go to source it, nor who in the organization might be a key candidate for reskilling. Your HR teams will fast become a key partner in this area. Next, middle management is going to have to become comfortable with these changes. The risk that middle managers face is real, and that is that reskilled, newly capable team members may want to take their new talents for a spin somewhere else. And we will need to attack resistance head on. That starts by making sure that middle management feels that they have a seat at the table and are agents of change, not just pawns in the change. Finally, supporting the change. I'll never forget one firm I worked with had the most amazing training program for leaders viewed as high potential in the organization. It was a week-long training, and you had to be relieved of your commitments in order to attend. The rule was that you had to leave your responsibilities behind for one full business week. They wanted the participants to be able to bond as a group. They wanted them to be in the training, not just at the training. They wanted everyone to be able to bring their full, authentic selves to that 1 week. None of that would have happened if the leaders in that organization weren't bought in and understood the value of supporting that training and supporting the change that the company was trying to invest in. It was an incredible week. I learned so much that I still carry with me to this day. Thank you, Merkel. Next, employees want to reskill when it makes sense. Employees need to understand the role that they have in ensuring the success of reskilling initiatives. We all know human psychology, right? If you're successful in leadership, you likely have grown quite adept at detecting that when people are resistant to change, it's likely because they don't see what's in it for them. So as leaders, work with your executive teams to make sure that when reskilling initiatives are announced, that employees understand why the initiative is so important, but also why it's important for them. Set up rewards and incentives for people to participate in the change, set up higher rewards for people who step up to be leaders in the change, treat employees as partners, design programs from the employee point of view, dedicate adequate time and attention to the task. At CG Infinity, having our employees continuously invest in themselves is not a hobby. It's a part of our culture. We evaluate leaders based on how much they encourage continuous learning in their teams, and we evaluate team members based on how much they invest in their own knowledge year upon year. And it's not enough to just take the class. We want to know what they learned from the class and for them to bring that knowledge and its applications back to the team via a presentation, a tech talk, or a blog article so that our larger community of team members can benefit. It's these kinds of attitudes and focused energy on retooling that ultimately determines the success of an upskilling or reskilling initiative. Number 5, reskilling takes a village. It's important to understand that no one is an island, or at least no one has to be. What would the world look like if there were instances where even competitors locked arms with each other for the higher purpose of ensuring that as an industry, everyone involved was working together to ensure that the future remained bright for that industry? It seems like a lifetime ago, but in 1998 and 1999, every single organization around the world started preparing for what we all thought would be a worldwide catastrophe called January 1st, 2000. For those of you too young to know, many of the prevalent operating systems at the time, specifically Microsoft's Windows and DOS operating systems, but also other OSs used by mainframe computers and embedded systems, used a 2-digit character to store the year. And we simply didn't know what was going to break when the year value went from 99 to 00. But our initial tests showed that quite a few very important things could be at risk, like, for example, the software that controlled elevators. It's a long story. I encourage you to research this topic. As a member of the Year 2000 project at Fannie Mae at the time, I was part of a group that started briefing customers and competitors on how we were approaching the Year 2000. Our vice president at the time would go from group to group sharing knowledge. Our Year 2000 project served a higher purpose, and sharing that knowledge was paramount. Learning from each other was even more important. Seeing what other organizations were doing to prepare for this change was viewed as an existential requirement. It didn't make sense for Fannie Mae's systems to be ready for the year 2000, but having our key business partners and even competitors not ready. We all relied on the stability of the market to be successful. This was not a time to hoard knowledge. Perhaps AI presents such an existential equivalent. For certain industries to put down the competitive gloves for a moment to view the industry at a macro level and work together to ensure that at the industry level, everyone is ready to embrace what lies ahead could be the year 2000 project of our time. I'm not implying that doom is on our doorstep, like we thought was the case in 1998. But some technologies represent a double-edged sword and can be nefarious and beneficial at the same time, depending on the actor. Certainly in the industry I focus on, energy and utilities, AI presents that duality as both an amazing opportunity for advancement that can quite literally expand the autonomy of systems and the speed with which we respond to very dynamic variables in our markets. But it also simultaneously represents a huge potential threat if AI is used for the wrong reasons. These are just a few of my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. Leave a comment below and let's all upskill together. Make it a great day. I'll see you next time on What's Jonathan Thinking?